Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill is going to shatter the American middle class. It is going to bring the middle class to the brink of extinction. And a lot of you dope, clueless Americans have no idea how bad it's going to get. So this big, beautiful tax bill is going to do several things, okay? Number one, it's going to prolong the Trump's tax cuts that happened back in 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This act doubled or raised significantly the standard deduction, gave an enhanced child tax credit to the American people, and cut taxes for pass-through entities, partnerships and S corporations, and C corporations by cutting corporate tax rates down to 21%. And it overall was kind of beneficial. The only people it really hurt were upper middle class Americans that had their deductions massively reduced because they could no longer deduct more than $10,000 of state and local taxes. But there's a deeper problem that's going on here. So what Trump wants to do is massively cut corporate tax rates again. He wants to cut corporate tax rates down to 15% for companies that make stuff in America. Fair enough. But he's also massively increasing the middle class's taxes. And any offsets or savings that come from these taxes are not going to be enough. Now, why am I saying that Trump just massively raised taxes? It's called a tariff. When a foreign company ships something to the United States, a tariff is a tax that is assessed on the good. So if Trump has 20% tariffs, which is what they're saying it averages out to be, the price of imported goods that the middle class consumes is gonna go up 20% on average. How does that create a massive problem for the middle class? Well, the middle class, they spend all of their income, right? Let's say you make $60,000 a year, or let's just keep it simple. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. Well, if everything you buy goes up 20%, now $10,000 is the amount of additional spending you're going to have to do in order to fund your current lifestyle. Because all of the goods on average are going up by 20%. So all the stuff you were able to afford before went up in price. And the problem is, you as a middle class American cannot avoid those taxes because it's a flat, averaged out 20% on all the money that you spend. Are you starting to see the problem here? So you're spending $10,000 more on taxes. You have the same income, and the tax cuts that are coming through are not going to really benefit you that much. Basically, how you're living now is how you're going to live with the tax cuts that are extended. If the tax brackets stay the same, absolutely nothing will change. So now the middle class's standard of living is going to massively decrease because you cannot avoid the tax. The tax has been assessed on the goods that you are forced to buy. And you have no choice but to buy those goods because you spend every dime that you make just trying to survive. Who's going to benefit? Well, the rich people are going to have their tax cuts extended, but they can also afford to pay the additional cost of goods. If you make $1 million a year, mostly on dividends, interest, and capital gains, your tax rates are effectively 20% plus net investment income tax, so 3.8%, so 23.8%, right? And let's say you want to buy your Coach pocketbook, and it's instead of $1,000, it's $1,200. Well, you're going to be perfectly fine. It's not going to really affect you. Yeah, it's going to crimp your huge income a little bit, but it's not going to shatter you. It's really going to shatter the middle class because of this regressive tax that was started by the tariffs. So Trump is always bragging that the tariffs are going to help balance the budget a little bit, right? The tariffs, they're going to help bring in income to the Treasury, and they will. But the vast majority of the burden of this regressive tax is going to be on the middle class. Trump has drastically raised middle class taxes and is going to cut and maintain tax cuts for the upper class, and you cannot avoid it. All the taxes that the middle class pay are unavoidable. Most middle-class families don't really pay a lot of federal tax because they have a huge standard deduction, especially if you're married. You get tax credits for kids. You get tax credits for daycare. You don't really pay that much in tax. What you do pay are regressive taxes. You pay taxes for Social Security. You pay 6.2%. You pay tax for Medicare, 1.45%. You can't avoid it. You cannot avoid it. You pay sales tax, depending on your state and local government. And now you're paying another regressive tax that you cannot avoid. It's impossible to avoid by paying the tariff tax. You are going to get cooked like you cannot imagine. So the stock market may do well. The rich people may be fine, but the people that can least afford taxes are now getting a basically flat 20% tax increase. And the government debt is not going to change, okay? These tariffs are not going to raise enough revenue to offset the massive stimulus that we're basically giving to rich people by cutting corporate taxes or at least maintaining them. It's going to be devastating, okay? And the whole inflation that gets stoked by this tax cuts, extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that's going to hurt you, the consumer, even more. So you're dealing with inflation. You're dealing with a flat tax, a 20% on all the goods you buy. You're going to be in huge trouble. You're not going to be able to afford a house. You're going to have trouble financing a car because not only is your budget increased by $10,000, now interest rates are higher because of inflation, because of the rampant spending in the federal government. You're in deep crap if you're in the middle class. So if the Republicans go out there and they say, oh, you know, we helped you out. Oh, yeah, we cut your taxes, bro. No, they didn't. They raised your taxes massively by assessing tariffs on all the goods that you have to purchase in order to stay alive. You absolute clowns and morons. So we're going to see this tax cuts bill pass, okay? I mean, it'll probably benefit me. Most of my wealth is in stock. I'm not worried about it. Most of my debt is fixed rate. And if I have to clamp down on spending on Chipotle because now everything has a flat additional 20% freaking tax rate because of the tariffs, I think I'll be fine. I think most rich people will be perfectly okay. Okay? Even if the stock market drops 50%, they still own the capital. They still have the bonds that pay them interest. They're going to be fine. But you are going to have a huge disaster on your hands when it comes to your budget because of these tariffs. And while it may change in the long run, maybe we bring manufacturing back to America, it's going to be a huge, nasty, vicious transition. So you better start bracing yourselves now, okay? If you don't have any savings, now's the time to start saving because you're going to see a lot of your bills go up massively. And these tax cuts, you're not going to see much of a change. You're not going to. It's not going to cut your taxes even more because you don't really pay many taxes. The only taxes you pay are taxes you can't avoid. FICA, tariffs, sales tax, and those are all painful for the middle class and the lower class. So prepare your butt cheeks. Anyway, let me know what you think. You think these tax cuts are going to save the middle class and, you know, we're going to have this age of abundance? Or are all of the goods that you buy going to go up by 20% or even more, depending on the clownery that Trump does, especially if you're sensitive to goods from China? Let me know what you think. Talk to you later.